All right, next up in the show, let's head to Bedlam. Oklahoma State. How many state legislators are Oklahoma State grads, and how many state legislators are OU grads? Is this actually the last time they're going to play? If Mike Gundy is still the head coach at Oklahoma State, they will never play again. he will go. The petty ego will go down with the ship. He will never let this game. Absolutely, he'll never let this game happen. So first of all, number one, enjoy it for how great it really is. Also, why Mike Gundy may not want it to happen. His record against Oklahoma is not pretty. That being said, you could argue Mike Gundy is doing one of the best coaching jobs of his entire career after their performance against South Alabama. They have been like a totally different football team. The win over Kansas State, I know Will Howard threw some interceptions. It is almost inexplicable what Oklahoma State has done to this point. Oklahoma, we said last week on the show, not as good as maybe their resume indicates. There's the Cincinnati game, the SMU game. Like they have not been dominant, and Kansas got them. I think this is a great spot if I'm Oklahoma State. The national media has overlooked this Cowboys team for most of the season. They are playing their best football right now. There's one motivating factor here that I think that I think maybe affected Kansas as well. I want scoreboard rights permanently. I want to be able to say scoreboard for as long as we don't play. And I cannot imagine a more hair on fire football team in all of college football this week than the Pokes of Oklahoma State.
Yeah, that's where I first go to this game. Is it's unfortunate that these two teams aren't going to play because it's a great, rivalry. We love it. And it's kind of a sad ending. But I also think there's motivation on both sides. If you're Oklahoma, you want to send these guys out with another loss, and we may not play them for 10 years. If you're Oklahoma State, we want to beat them because for the next 10 years, you're not going to play. We could talk about, hey, remember that last time in Stillwater? We beat you. So I think there's plenty of motivation here for both teams. Now, the series has trended very heavily in favor of Oklahoma. We'll see if Gundy can change that on Saturday. So I think that the start of the matchup for me is just the way that these two teams have played in the last couple weeks. Like Oklahoma barely survived against UCF. They lost last week at Kansas. Oklahoma State has been trending up. They've won 4 in a row. Big reason why the play of running back Ollie Gordon. He is averaging 214 rushing yards over the last 4 games. Some of that over 200 yards in back-to-back games. So they have found what is working on offense, which is Alan Bowman just being efficient, doing enough through the air, Ollie Gordon on the ground. I think their defense still is very suspect, though, and that could be a problem. But you also look at Oklahoma coming into this game. Their top linebacker, Danny Stutzman, is banged up. Does he play on Saturday? That could be key. Oklahoma offensively, Dillon Gabriel had his season low in passing yards last week. The run game has been inconsistent, too, for Oklahoma. So there are a lot of questions, I think, for both teams. And if you just look at which defense is better, it's Oklahoma. And that may matter on Saturday and what could be another high-scoring affair in Bedlam.
The theme of the week: prove to us, show America that you are good enough. If Oklahoma is good enough to be a playoff team, you win this game. What's Mike Gundy's record? 2-15?
It's not good, yeah.
Against Oklahoma? If you want to be considered a top 10 playoff team, of which there are fewer and fewer every week, if you want to be taken seriously and you want to, you have to win these games. Alabama, LSU, Washington at USC, Texas against Kansas State, Ole Miss at home against Texas A&M, Missouri and Georgia, both. You got to prove it. You got to win these types of games. And if you're Oklahoma and you are a playoff team and you're a Big 12 championship contender, you go win this game. No one is suggesting Oklahoma State is a playoff team. No one is suggesting Oklahoma State is an elite team. But Oklahoma State could be a Big 12 championship contending team. They got the record for it, and they're playing like it right now. Show us that you belong. Prove to America that you belong. And I know that's very nebulous and very vague. If you're Oklahoma, you are the better team. Show it to us. Show it to us. You have not shown it in a couple of weeks. Show it to us.
It's a great spot to do it on the road in Stillwater. Should note that Oklahoma's defense has allowed 97 points in the last 3 games after giving up only 54 in the first 5 of the season. So this would be a good opportunity for Oklahoma to get back on track. And for Oklahoma State, you look at their schedule the rest of the way. If they win this one, they could win out. So this is, all we talked about all these teams that are 4-1 in the Big 12, all these key games in the Big 12 this week. And not only is this one important for bragging rights and for Oklahoma's playoff hopes, but there's actually a lot at stake for both teams in the conference race. So I'm going to take Oklahoma, but I think this is going to be another wild affair in Bedlam, with probably coming down to the wire again.
I like that Oklahoma. I like when teams sort of play differently than their MO. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I kind of like Oklahoma State in the way that they are doing it sort of differently than their MO, if that makes sense, right? Like they're running the football, they're creating turnovers, they're not turning the ball over all that much. I think they have like 9 total giveaways the entire season. I just think they're kind of doing it differently than what we think of Oklahoma State football to be. And that's interesting to me. And to have seen it changed within the course of one month of the season is fascinating to me. I have no idea. I'm not picking anybody here in this one. I don't even know what to make of Oklahoma
Are you
State.
running for governor of Oklahoma? Not going to pick the game. Just
here's how you run for governor of Oklahoma. I will do everything in my power to make sure that the Bedlam series stays intact after Oklahoma leaves the Big 12 and goes to the SEC.
Yeah, it's a shame.
I'm pretty sure I can get enough votes.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that a lot of these rivalries are going to go by the wayside in realignment, and this is one of them. So my hope is that Saturday's game is one that we won't forget anytime soon, but also we get some scheduling news between these two in the next couple years to set up a 10-year run of games, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not holding my breath.
I'm not trying to be optimistic here.
I'm not holding my breath, but I'm not in the. I guess we're in the gambling business. I'm not gambling on this game. Who would you take in a point spread? Can't pick.
Oklahoma State.
But you take Oklahoma outright.
Yeah, take Oklahoma outright. Oklahoma State to cover.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat.